Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Every episode is about a different movie, of course. But before we get to the movie for this episode, let's of course introduce ourselves. I am, of course, Yemmy the Ferret, aka Yemmy. Who am I here with?
Hey, it's Gritty Waffle.
It's Taymation.
And it's Coco Gamer.
How are you doing, y'all?
Doing good.
As good as can be.
Tired.
Tired, good, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So,
The good, bad, and the ugly. No, I'm kidding. All right,
oh, the ugly, huh?
I can take the ugly if we need to. It's okay.
Well, since Nick is so fast with the teardowns of personal people, why don't you go ahead and introduce your movie for today, Nicholas?
Okay, so the movie I chose was Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So what is this one about? Former scientist Galen Erso lives on a farm with his wife and young daughter Jin. His peaceful existence comes crashing down when the evil Orso Krennic takes him away from his beloved family. Many years later, Galen becomes the Emperor's lead engineer for the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, the Death Star. Knowing that her father holds the key to its destruction, Jin joins forces with a spy and other resistance fighters to steal the space station plans for a rebel alliance. So it's directed by Gareth Edwards, released in 2016. Not really many actors that we would know. Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Alan Tudyk, Donnie Yen, and many more.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, man.
I say Maz and Alan are, I think, the
James
most
Earl
well-known
Jones.
actors. Well, James Earl Jones barely in it. He doesn't count.
Counts
I don't
enough.
see Mads Mikkelsen. Oh, he's all the way at the bottom. Okay.
I mean, Maz is
anyways.
also barely in it, but...
Anyways, so I really don't have a starting question. I mean, I guess I do have one. I want to... Maybe I'm not caught up on the Star Wars lore, but what's with the blind guy beating stormtroopers with his stick? And they're like, oh, my wrist. They're like dying. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
He's using the Force to
Yes.
guide himself. He's predicting. I mean, the Force is telling him where the blaster bolts are going, and the Force is telling him where the aim is stick to do maximum damage. The part that really, like, speaking of beating people with sticks, the part that really was, like, kind of dumb to me was when Jin took out a baton and started hitting stormtroopers. Not the same part. It was early on with the original, like, on Jeddah when, like, all those, like, what do you call them? They against the Empire people. They're not rebels yet, but they did that as sneak attack, and like they're all blasting stormtroopers, and all of a sudden Jin's like, I got a baton. It's like she's not using the Force. There's nothing forceful about her. She's just using a baton on stormtroopers just because it's supposed to quote unquote look cool. That's what got me. Like, I don't care that the blind guy is going around whipping people with the stick. It's cool. He's using the Force. It makes some sort of sense in the Star Wars universe. But using a baton on stormtroopers when you're Jin Erso, come on.
Yeah. You could probably hit him with a rock.
Well, I mean, Stormtrooper armor has always been problematic. I mean, Ewoks beat them with rocks, and they died.
It's true.
True.
That is very true.
This is something. Yeah, it's not like this is something new. Like, oh wow, they're being beaten with sticks. Like, no, this has happened before. Well, it's going to happen again, but technically happened before.
Yeah, this is where the Ewoks got the idea to use rocks because they saw this movie.
Exactly.
It was like, oh, well, they being by a stick, and now it's so powerful now.
Turns out Ewoks are time travelers.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see the look on their face? That says time travel all over it. Yeah. I'm just saying, when you're being stared down by several stormtroopers with blaster rifles, I mean, I don't think a baton would be the best weapon to use right there, even though it worked, obviously, because, you know, they're not going to kill anyone off until after an hour in the movie. But it's one of those things that's like, it doesn't make sense to me, just like watching it from the perspective of both a Star Wars fan and just a regular action movie fan, because you have this blaster that's more than capable of taking down 3 stormtroopers in like 3 blasts, right? But instead she decides, I'm going to whip out the baton for this one. And then she doesn't use it the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But she did grab, unless I'm thinking of a different part, where she did end up grabbing the blaster and shot the droid, but it wasn't, the friendly droid. It was, I guess, it was the evil one.
Well, the Imperial
or was
one.
that a different?
No, that was the same part. She just picked up a random blaster and used it.
It's like, oh, this is much more effective.
She was like, oh, I can't use a baton on a droid.
Well, as we know from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, those droid users can take even a lightsaber to the face and survive.
But stick? Oh no, that's our weakness. I don't know. I figured there'd be some way they have to make them survive. It's like, oh, but yeah, they could just like given us something a little stronger than a stick.
Yeah, I mean, she already had a blaster in her hands. Like, she didn't have to switch weapons, but she decided to. And I don't know if I'm just missing a part where like it stopped working. I don't remember, but either way, it wasn't cool like they were thinking it was going to be. They thought it was going to be like a real cool scene, and everyone was going to be like, "Oh my god, I love Jin."
Hero moment.
Yeah.
But it's just there's no use to it.
Yeah, it's useful.
I bet there was somebody though who saw that and was just like, "Wow, Jin's so cool." There's got to be someone out there.
I mean, this movie came out after the success of the Force Awakens, so people were were pretty high on Star Wars when this came out. I think that people would have been a little bit less receptive to it after like Last Jedi or Solo.
Yeah, I agree.
Callus watched it and was like, "Oh my god, what waifu?"
Probably, not gonna lie.
So continue on the with weak armor. Actually, no, we'll go to that later because that's kind of the end. But what do you guys think of like the whole crew, that like the Resistance, and was there a character that you guys didn't like, you hated the most?
You mean like in the Rogue One group?
Yeah, in the Rogue One group.
So my problem is, like, it's kind of a big plot point. The main Resistance like pilot guy. I don't remember his name. Not like the defector pilot, the other pilot.
Yeah, Cassian.
Cassian, yeah. Like, first scene we see him, he just straight up murders a dude.
Yep.
And then later on, they're like, he's got a baby face. He couldn't kill anybody. And then he's having trouble killing people. And then like, if you want to make it look like he's having trouble to kill people, don't have him kill a person in the very first scene he's in.
Yeah, it makes him seem like more of a bad guy than just a rebel. Because even in like the Star Wars movies that have come out in the original trilogy, where you have rebels versus Empire, the rebels aren't doing like guerrilla tactics. And even in this movie, they're not doing like that. The rebel forces on Jedha weren't actually rebels; they were just local people who were like "fuck you," and they were using guerrilla tactics. But him just shooting the guy in the back because he couldn't climb up a wall, it just didn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't climb. I have one arm. Oh, bye.
Yeah. It just didn't seem like a rebel thing to do. It seemed more like a espionage tactical type thing, like a bounty hunter type thing.
It would have made more sense if a stormtrooper had shot him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which could have easily have happened.
Yes. Something they could easily done, but no, they went, all right, this guy's going to shoot him. And then later we're going to say, like, he can't shoot anybody. He's got a baby face.
He just didn't want to kill Mads Mikkelsen. I think that was the main thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who would want to kill Mads?
Going back to the to which characters you liked or didn't like. I didn't think that I was gonna like him as much this time around, but I ended up liking him just as much or even more. But I really enjoy K2SO, the droid. He was funny, and I liked his character and personality. And like he was one of the only characters whose death was like actually like. It actually hit me, what I'm saying? Like, everyone else was like, we've kind of gotten to know him. But when K2 died, it was like, K2, I was like...
He's definitely one of my favorite characters too. Yeah. Like even like the first time I saw this, I was like, I like him, and the fact that he's voiced by Alan Tudyk helps because I like Alan Tudyk. But,
yeah.
But yeah, him, and I actually kind of like the blind guy and his husband. Like we don't get much of him, but I just kind of enjoy him.
Yeah, it's too bad that we get these characters for such a short amount of time, and there is a stark difference between like the first hour and the second hour of this movie.
Yeah.
The first hour is you don't really build up these characters too much, but once the second hour starts, like after they get to that base where Mads Mikkelsen is, and the doctors or the scientists get shot, that's when the movie really starts like giving you more character growth and character interactions that are actually like good. And because like the first half of this movie, like you have some characters who are in there who are supposed to be like a big character in the story, but they end up just kind of being like, well, he was kind of lame, or what was his purpose? The one guy who had like the breathing apparatus was supposed to be like this really intense death scene, and I was like, I really don't know who he is, and I really don't care. I know he's close to Jin because he's the guy who rescued her, but it's like it's all explained through dialogue. It's not shown, and I think if they had shown it, then maybe the death would have been a little bit more of an impact.
Yeah, but it's very well.
There's also that droid guy who's like his underling or whatever on Jeddah, and he doesn't get anything in this movie. Luckily, though, he is expanded upon in the comic books, so at least you get that. But he was like a cool character who we didn't get anything from. He just kind of put bags over their heads and led them to, the lair, the secret lair of the Resistance on Jeddah, and then that was it. He got away. I'll let you guys know that.
Okay, yeah, that guy with like the weird bug eyes.
Yeah, he was like a droidish type looking dude with the spikes on his head,
like half alien, half droid.
Yeah, and he was a cool character. Like he's a cool design. It really made me reminisce about the original designs of the aliens from like the Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and there were a good amount of like practical like effects, makeup and stuff done for like the aliens in this one, and like I said with the droid guy, I mean, it really just harkens back to the original trilogy spirit of having like these just outrageously complex alien suits and stuff like that. They don't move too much, but there is that one guy in the Rebel forces. I don't know what type of alien is, but he kind of looks like a lizard, and like he was really well done. I think he was entirely CG, but it looked really, really good.
Yeah, especially showing the second pod with so many.
Yeah, they're quick scenes, but
they look good. Not rushed. or say they don't have like, I don't know how to explain it.
But of course, that leads me to some of the bad CGI in this, and I think that every scene with the CG version of Grand Moff Tarkin was pretty bad. The CG just didn't look that great, honestly, in my opinion. Like, I didn't mind Princess Leia at the end of the movie, but because Grand Moff Tarkin was in so many scenes, it's weird because the actor who played him is dead.
Yeah.
Two, it's weird because, of course, they had to get like a sound-alike for him, and it doesn't sound exactly right. And then three, it kind of has the same effect. It's not a good effect. Like it just looks weird, because you're plastering someone's face onto another face, and it doesn't look right.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw this, I actually thought Grand Moff Tarkin was better than Leia, just because I think because of the an old face, so he's got wrinkles and skin. And I thought they could do a better job there. But this time seeing it, I was like, actually, no, Leia does look better than Grand Moff Tarkin. Leia still doesn't look great, but not bad.
Plus, because Leia, like I said, Leia's only in like one scene, like at the end of the movie. It's like, okay, you don't really notice it too much because she's not doing much emoting and stuff like that. But Grand Moff Tarkin, when he's there for, a 10-minute scene or, for however long he was in the movie, it's like, you got to do a little bit better job with this. Not going to lie. Or just eliminate his character from the movie and have it be someone else. I mean, it makes sense story-wise, but if the technology isn't perfect yet, I just don't want to see it in the film.
Yeah.
Because then it sticks out like a sore thumb.
I don't know. It didn't bug me as much because like it did make sense for the story wise because we know that Grand Moff Tarkin was in charge of the Death Star, so it's like you have to show that he takes over somehow. But it could have just been like a one scene where he's like, hell, I don't know. They could just had like the main bad guy. He's just a science officer, and maybe there's one scene with the Grand Moff Tarkin that's just like, oh, I'm in charge, but you're my science guy. You better not screw up.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know. But the ending with like Leia, I mean that's problematic too. That's what ruins this movie for me. But we can get into that a little later, unless you guys have nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, I think we might as well get to the second half.
Well, right. I want to say there's some things that kind of break the timeline. Like they have the two characters from the Cantina in A New Hope come in on Jeddah, and apparently they're supposed to be on Tatooine in it seems like a matter of weeks. I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sort of sense, but Jeddah's also destroyed in the process, so unless they were able to get a ride out of there real quickly, it doesn't make much sense that they were there. And then also, of course, they have Senator Organa there, Bail Organa, not Leia Organa, and he says some ominous, some foreboding things, like, oh, that was back in the Clone War, and oh, she's really good with this kind of stuff, stuff like that. And it's like, I get why they have you here. I get why they need to be like, oh, I'm going to Alderaan, so you know that he died officially. But I don't know, those kinds of things just kind of break the timeline a little bit for me, because it's like, okay, so especially the ending, which we'll talk about it later, but there's some things that really kind of you didn't need to put that in there. I get it, it's an Easter egg for the fans of the series, but sometimes it's better to leave them out just because it's like, now I'm thinking about, well, how long did it actually take for this to happen, for that to happen? It doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that the Star Wars galaxy is a very tiny galaxy.
Yeah.
And they, the two people on Jeddah, maybe they did that, they escaped and went to Tatooine. I don't, maybe Tatooine is the next planet over. I don't know. That wouldn't make sense. Why would Obi-Wan Kenobi decide to hide right next to the Jedi temple? I don't know.
We don't know.
I guess the best hiding spot is, in plain view.
I guess that's true. That's true. And the Organa, Senator Organa thing didn't bother me too much because he is a part of the Resistance. They set that up in the prequel, that he starts the Resistance, so it makes sense that he's there. And then he has to go to Alderaan. Sure, fine. We know he goes there and blows up. C-3PO and R2-D2 being there, that didn't have to be there.
Oh yeah, that was the biggest one for me, because they're supposed to be on Taintive 4, which is Princess Leia's ship, and it just boggles my mind that they would do that, because it's like, even in this same very movie, the Taintive 4 is at Jeddah, and they're just sitting there at Yavin 4, chilling out. It's like, you've broken this timeline pretty hardcore with that one. How am I supposed to believe that R2-D2 and C-3PO got onto that ship after it has already left into space from Yavin?
All for that Easter egg of, look, these are characters.
Magic.
Look, you like these characters, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to randomly appear on one of the ships. Not explained at all.
All right. If you guys want to move on to the second half, I suppose we should. Because I think the second half is astronomically better than the first half. And if you don't recall, last episode I was saying there's a reason why people really love this movie, and it is the second half of the movie. I mean, I think you all understand now why I said that. I mean, not only the fight on Scarif, but the everything leading up to them getting the plans and then transporting them to Tainted 5. I think that kind of just sums up everyone's love for it, and I love it too for that. It's such a great action hour.
It is a great battle. I'm just watching it. I was like, this battle better be in Battlefronts. I don't play Battlefronts, but I feel like this battle should be in Battlefronts.
It's in the original remake.
Oh, okay, good. But not in the new one? Whatever.
No.
EA's dumb.
Well, that's true.
But no, it's a well done battle. I like everything about it. There's nothing I fault with the battle. but the ending of like how everything.
I do want to point out, when I was saying earlier about the stormtroopers armor, is it seemed like the AT-ATs went down really easy. I mean, I know they shot the ball point of the feet, but there was also parts where the armor for the AT-ATs were up. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Well, you also have to remember that Scarif is like a installation for like testing prototypes and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that the AT-ATs weren't fully armored up or something like that. I mean, there was one that literally had like a giant section missing out of it. You know,
like just had a tarp.
I'm guessing they showed these AT-ATs being so weak to just be like, oh, okay, so we need to improve the armor to be resistant to blasters, because we didn't really see. I mean, I guess some of the X-wings shot torpedoes at some of them, which would explain why, like when they hit the the armor kind of exploded.
Well, and you do have to remember that the X-wing is stronger than the snow speeders.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, that minigun the guy was shooting at the leg, like, that's a lot of energy being pushed into something that doesn't even have a shield on it. I would understand, like, if there was a shield on it, then being like, oh, why'd the leg snap? But since it is, like, a joint and such, it's such a blast of power, I would understand.
Yeah, I got the joint shooting. I got that one, but it was just, like, I didn't understand, like, why half of the AT-AT was missing. I was like, oh, but now it makes sense.
Yeah, because Scarif is like that's why you see, like, those weird, like, pre-TIE Interceptor type crafts that have like two wings and they're flying around, and you never see them the rest of the series. One, because this movie was made before that, but two, because I do believe that they turned into the TIE Interceptors that we know today.
Yeah.
And then also the Death Troopers, they kind of come back in The Mandalorian, but the human version of them dies on Scarif as well.
Yeah, that also might explain why the AT-ATs were so inaccurate trying to shoot the people. I mean, I know there were scenes where it got them good, but it just seemed like
there's also a lot of scenes that it's just missing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one powerful shot going. I find it easier to believe that it's missing from that range because, I mean, you just have one shot every so often to take out, some guys. And they do, I mean, like you said, they do take out, like, a group of guys here and there. And you also need to remember that it is a movie and they don't want to kill off characters too quickly, because then you have, like, a Kong Skull Island case where they're, like, bringing characters back to life to have them die again in the next scene where they fight, like, another weird monster.
Spoilers.
Yeah, not really. I mean, anyone who's...
Movie's been out for a while.
I know, but I still haven't seen it. Not that I really plan to, but...
my main problem with that one... I mean, I'll spoil it right now. No, I'm not. No, the main problem is, like, you would see, like, a bunch of random soldiers get killed, right? And then all of a sudden, you go to the next scene and, like, there's, like, 5 of them back. And it's like, well, you didn't have those 5 people on the boat when you were leaving, so where did they come from? You would have that same problem here because it wasn't that big of a rogue detachment that came down to the planet's surface. So, even though they get reinforced here and there and there's extra troops here and there, you need to, like, the scope of it all needs to be realized. If you kill 15 guys here with one blast from an AT-AT, well, now when there's 5 guys over here defending this place, it doesn't make any sense because all those guys were killed there,
Yeah.
So I understand kind of being a little bit more, precise with, like, well, I guess we should only blast away these 3 guys here and let the rest of them run into the forest.
It seems like those AT-ATs caught up to them quickly, too.
It seems like... see the size of them? And
yeah, true.
Well,
huge.
Compared to, like, when they first show them, like, from behind the trees, it seemed like, like 50 yards away, maybe, then the next thing you know, they're, like, almost getting stepped on by it.
Remember... They are large.
There was a scene between that too. It's not like it was like the next scene they were getting stepped on. I don't think.
Yeah. Plus, again, like each step is like probably 20 to 30 feet for those things, if not more.
Plus, you got to get the cool shot of like the heat coming off the island and then the AT-ATs appearing from behind the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
That was a cool shot, actually.
Yeah.
Surprisingly well shot movie. I was actually not remembering that it was so well shot.
Should we go to probably my little part where I scratched my head? Is them climbing up to the radio tower, and the guy gets shot and he, falls down to the platform and somehow saves Jin.
He climbed back up.
He climbed back up, or he used the elevator.
But he must have, because Jin, when she climbed up, she had to go through that vent thing that was opening and closing. There's no way that dude would have been able to squeeze through there.
The first scene he was in, he showed that he could climb real well.
But that doesn't.
But that was after he was shot.
Yeah, he was
before he was shot.
I would like to believe that since Admiral Krennic, or whatever his name was, General Krennic, whatever his name was, used the elevator, that he unlocked it and he was able to go up. Because it's not like as soon as Admiral Krennic shows up, Jin gets saved, right? It is a few scenes later where Jin gets saved by Cassian. So I would believe, this is me just being a Star Wars fan. I'll believe that he took the elevator.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe if he had said, I climbed us all the way up here. I wouldn't. Then they'd be like, I'm not believing that. But since they didn't actually address it, it's one of those things where it's like you don't address it, you just kind of let it happen. It's like, okay, it's fine.
He took the elevator. The one thing that bugged me about that little part was where Jin was like, it's done. I've sent it up. And he's like, doesn't matter because we have the shield up. And we know the shield's about to come down. But still, the second they kill him, then she has to go over and actually send it. It's like, if he had killed her right there...
Yeah, you would have just...
They would not have gotten the plans out.
Yeah, instead of just like, it doesn't matter with shield, just shoot her.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how smart it was for the rebels to push the ships together? I thought that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
It is interesting though, because that version of the hammerhead isn't used in any other. Like it had it had the head the wrong direction. Like most of them are usually like an actual hammer and shark, whereas this one had it vertical, and you never see that throughout the rest of like the trilogy or any of the newer films.
Yeah, I was about to say why wasn't it used more? Like I feel like that could have been very sufficient.
They only had the one, and it's a one and done. Once it's done its task, the ship's useless.
Yeah, but no, it was a cool scene, and I didn't like the first time I saw it in theaters. I was like, what the heck are they gonna do? And then it all kind of came together. So it's a cool scene.
Yeah, I agree. And then they ruined it by adding Leia. Because like New Hope, she's trying to tell Vader like, I'm on a diplomatic mission, whatever, blah blah blah, and he kind of like I don't buy it, but whatever, we're gonna see. But then the end of this movie, he just like watches her fly away. So of course he knows. Like it ruins the beginning of New Hope.
Well, right. As badass as the Darth Vader scene is, and obviously I think that's what everyone creams their pants over, and me too. I was really loving it. Just seeing Vader as a badass. But here's one of the things that also breaks the continuity is because in the comic books, there's a whole entire comic series called Vader Down, which is like a sub thing for the Star Wars comic book that came out a few years ago. And in that comic book, he's taking ships with the Force and he's throwing them into each other. He's making them stop mid-space. So in the context of this movie, which already had the comic book was already being written and it was already done by the time this movie came out, you go, well, why doesn't he just use the Force and bring it back? Or something like that.
Why doesn't he just take the card?
Well, I mean, they were football handing it off, but that's one of the things that kind of like is like, okay, so Vader's power level, is he the greatest ever, or is he just like, I'll let him go? It doesn't make sense because I watched this movie after I read that comic book, and I'm like, you've shown this in the current canon. This is the new Star Wars canon for the comic books. It's canon with the whole Star Wars universe. Why is he just watching it go away?
Right? So dumb.
But
it would have made more sense if they had like sent it to her via email.
I mean, something, I understand it has to be a hard disk because she's got to put it inside R2-D2, right?
But the thing is, like, they should get the file transmission and then download it to a hard disk to give it to R2 when she sees Vader's ship start showing up. Like, they didn't have to show her getting a hard disk.
Right.
It's like, Also, like one thing that bugged me is like, oh, they're trying to open. Sorry, Ty. I'm trying to open the door, and he's like, I can't get it open. He's like, there's a little hole, a guy on the other side. Just hand it to him.
I mean, Coco, put yourself in that guy's shoes. Do you want to get out of there?
Yeah.
You see this guy with a red lightsaber and a tired black suit.
Three guys pushing you, and you're like, this door is not going to open.
I mean, the guy wants to save himself, and then he realizes, well, that's not going to happen. So just take the shit and go. You know, I think anyone would react the same way, if not even worse, in that situation where they just kind of fight for their own life instead of trying to get the software to them. But yeah, it makes sense to me for sure.
Yeah,
but you gotta love that scene where like you hear Darth Vader's, breathing, and then it's and then all of a sudden the red lightsaber comes out. The whole ending is so badass right there. It kind of makes up for all the continuity errors that it causes.
Right. Like it's as if they had just done what they did, with Cassian or whatever the pilot's name was. Don't show it, and then he just shows up, and you work it out. They didn't have to show Leia getting a physical copy if they had just shown her like a screen, or just shown a person.
Just like standing in like a room and it goes off. We just assumed it.
It doesn't have to be Leia. They could hand it off to another person, like just transmit it, and then we would get Leia got it. She put it on a disc to give it to R2. Don't need to see it.
Yeah, and completely remove the scene from Yavin 4 and just put R2-D2 and C-3PO on the ship. Like that's all you really have to do. And also, I mean, let's say that have like the Admiral Akbar type character send the transmission to Leia, who is orbiting Tatooine at the time, right? And the Empire, and the Empire goes, oh, they sent a transmission to Tatooine, and that's why Vader's ship shows up on Tatooine. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. You can still show Leia too, if you really want to, But it's crazy to me that they had to break the continuity just enough to like make you annoyed, but also be like, damn, is it a good movie?
Yeah. Just need. Listen to fans. It's like we like the movie, but you keep like having moments where you just screw it up.
It's not as bad screw ups as a Solo, though. I think that
true. That's got a point.
out of all the screw ups they did in these two movies, I think that Solo takes the cake almost in every single way. It just it's one of those. It's like we don't need to learn why he's named Han Solo. Like it's fine,
Yeah. Leave some stuff to the imagination.
Right, and I mean, people have been okay with not knowing how they got the plans for the Death Star for years, since like the 70s. And now it's like, we need the story. Now we need the story of Han Solo. And it's some things you just don't need, But I guess that kind of leads us to, I think now, after the whole sequel fiasco, I think Disney's finally learning their lesson, especially because The Mandalorian has been so good and it actually ties in well to the rest of the Star Wars canon. I think now, this actually, like, The Mandalorian actually makes me excited for the next Star Wars movie or whatever's going to happen next, a TV show with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't care. I just, like, after The Mandalorian, I feel rejuvenated, because Last Jedi I didn't like at all, and then Rise of Skywalker made Last Jedi look like the best movie ever in comparison. It's so funny to me, like, that they can screw up so badly, but yet I still love Star Wars. Like, it's still my favorite franchise. I can go back and watch the original trilogy. I can go back and watch the prequels and have fun with it. But the sequels, the last two movies in there, just kind of cut those off. I can bear Force Awakens just because it's a fun movie.
For me, it was the prequels that did it. That's where I went, I'm not really a Star Wars fan anymore.
Yeah, I think the reason why I don't mind them is because I grew up with them. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
The Phantom Menace came out, what was it, 99 or something like that? I was still a kid.
Yeah.
And it was like, I loved Anakin Skywalker in the pod racing, and I like the battle, the fight scenes and stuff like that. And then when you watch it again, you're like, it's more about the politics though, which is kind of interesting, but also kind of really boring.
Well, the politics could be okay if Lucas had done it right, but he didn't. And like, there's just plot holes everywhere, and nothing makes sense. And it's dumb.
Yes,
it's bad. And that's the problem. The thing is, you're gonna get the next generation they'll be going, "Oh, the sequels aren't that bad. People just give them a bad rap."
Exactly.
That's going to be because they grew up with them.
Yeah, I get that angle, but
yeah,
it's hard for me to say that like the sequels have worse writing than the prequels, but I think I'll stand by that because the prequel trilogy, like even though it was bad, I would say that the writing was better than the sequels, only because the sequels just don't make any sense. Like they're tonally and everything like that. It just doesn't make sense with the writing and stuff like that. At least the prequels, they're building up to a point in the story.
I will say the prequels work better together as a overall written narrative, but like individually they're just really bad writing. And the sequels don't work together at all because they're all over the place. But individually, I would say they're better writing than the prequels individually.
All right, hold on. I gotta call up Coco because he's over here agreeing with everything we're saying. But as we learned from the last episode, he's only seen a few Star Wars films.
Calling me out here.
I am. What's up, Coco?
Like I have like seen some like most of them, like just at separate times, basically.
His story's changing, guys. We gotta keep him honest.
I'm not lying though. It's just I haven't watched them all in one. That's the main part.
Well, I don't know if I've ever watched them all in one go either.
Well, they're all on Disney Plus in order for you, so I think they're in order. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can watch them in order. I mean, they're all labeled.
Yeah.
Be like, I think I'm gonna start with Revenge of the Sith.
There is an order that like somebody, I don't remember who came up with it, but the best order to watch the Star Wars movies is 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, and this was before the sequels, so you can watch the sequels in whatever order you want, and then just avoid Phantom Menace because it's garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Attack of the Clones less than Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones didn't really have much going on with it, but
it didn't. I agree.
At least Phantom Menace had the pod racing scene. It had Darth Maul.
True.
And
pod
it had
scene that went on way too long.
Now you take that back right now. I love Sebulba, and I will stand by it that the pod racing was fun.
Right. Sure, Sebulba was fine, but the pod racing scene went on way too long. Like, what year did it come out again? 96?
It was 90
something like that.
So I was 11. And the first time I saw it, I'm like, this was an awesome movie. Second time I saw it, wait, is this? Third time I saw it, I went, actually, no, this is a really bad movie. And I was 11. I understood that at 11 when I loved, like, every movie. It was just a boring movie. The ending is great. Phantom Menace, like, that fight with Darth Maul, it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. They really shot themselves in the foot when they kind of killed him off in that movie.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. That was their problem, is they kept killing off their bad guys each movie, and you're like, could you just pick one?
Yeah, please. You just keep Jango Fett, keep Maul. Like, what are we doing here? I do appreciate that in the Clone Wars TV show and the Rebels TV show, they brought back his character, and they really turned him into the badass he was supposed to be, or that we all knew him as in the movie, you know?
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I guess this all leads to, should we go through our ranking of all the Star Wars films?
We're not even talking about Rogue One anymore. So. I'm ready.
All right, ready for our reviews?
Yep.
Well, I'm asking, should we rank all the Star Wars movies? Like, to the people who've watched them all, should we go through like which one was our least to our best or most favorite?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, we could do that. Sure.
I mean, I can do mine pretty quick because I have mine memorized by now.
5, 6. That's it. That's the ranking.
5, 6.
5 and 6.
So Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Everything else is it's okay, but they're all. I mean, I don't know. Those are the only ones I know for sure. I'm like these are.
So
the top
you would rank
2.
Return of the Jedi above Empire Strikes Back?
No, Empire Strikes Back is better.
Well, then why did you say it first?
I said 5, 6.
Yeah, that kind of tells me.
I was going in reverse. 1, 2.
Tay, I'm not a mind reader, Tay. I can't.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't make that clear. But yeah, I was going in reverse. 1, number 1 spot, number 2 spot, and then I haven't really figured out which is number 3 spot.
Yeah, I can do mine pretty fast because I think I know an exact order that I want to do, and this includes the sequels. So I think my least favorite would be Attack of the Clones, and then Phantom Menace, then Solo: A Star Wars Story, then Rise of Skywalker. After that would be, I want to say Revenge of the Sith, and then Last Jedi. Above that would be Force Awakens. No, actually, A New Hope, then A Force Awakens. I kind of like Force Awakens a little bit more. Rogue One, and then Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back at the top.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good order. I mostly agree with that order, I think. There'd be a few I'd maybe swap here and there, but mostly, yeah, it's a good order.
What was that, Nick?
I think Return of the Jedi is probably mine.
Is that your favorite?
I was my favorite. I mean, I'm not a Star Wars lore, so I can't really rank them all like Yemmy just did. But I think
Return of the Jedi used to be my favorite, and then after film school stuff, I realized, Empire Strikes Back actually is a better film. Damn it!
Yeah, it's amazing how well put together Empire Strikes Back is. It's just it has such an awesome beginning. It has that small build up to the Battle of Hoth. Then you go into the asteroid fields and you get to Jedi training and stuff like that. Cloud City is amazing, just visually and aesthetically, and Lando Calrissian is one of my favorite characters from that movie. And then you have, of course, the bounty hunters are pretty cool. They introduce all the bounty hunters in that one, including Boba Fett, who was actually supposed to be one of the main villains for Return of the Jedi, but he ended up just being with the Jabba's palace thing. And then, of course, the ending is just so epic. I mean, it's one of the most memorable endings of all time. No, I am your father. It's so good. It's such a great review.
Yeah.
And then Return of the Jedi it's okay. I think now that George Lucas has essentially screwed some of the stuff with the new CG add-ins, like the musical number and stuff like that, it kind of makes it a little bit worse in my opinion. But
yeah,
I would still rank it over most of the other films.
Yeah, no, it still holds up pretty well, even with all those add-ins. There's a few little things you can bring it down, but overall, it's a pretty good movie. So
yeah. It's a good ending. You don't get too many trilogies that have a great ending. You have Indiana Jones, you have Star Wars. I can't think of another
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, yeah, Lord of the Rings, and I guess I would say Back to the Future too. Back to the Future had a good ending to it, but I can't name many more off the top of my head.
What about the Expendables?
I saw the first one and was like, this is great. The second one, that's okay. And then the third one, I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, the third one was so bad.
It gets to the point where you're just like, it was kind of fun at the beginning, but no. No, I'm walking away. Goodbye.
They just had too many stars in there and they didn't mesh well.
Even in the first one, they had too many. Star Wars. That's true. It's not Star Wars. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go back all the way back because we forgot to ask Coco what his favorite character from the movie was.
Favorite character, that's right. I did enjoy the droid. Who else? Also the what's the guy?
Which guy are you thinking of?
I'm trying to think. The guy with the gun he had.
With the big gun?
Baze?
Yeah, big gun.
Baze?
Yeah, Baze. Yeah.
The blind guy's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't think of his name. Yeah. They're kind of like the equal because I thought they were because I thought they were pretty funny. The blind guy was good, but I just felt like he didn't really say too much other than I am one with the Force. The Force is with me. I am one with the Force. The Force is with me.
Sure. I'm always just a fan of Donnie Yen. That's his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Donnie Yen's great. So,
I also one last thing. If you guys have other things to say, that's fine. But I want to commend this movie for actually having a very diverse cast of characters. It's not just all white guy, white woman.
Yeah.
It's a very nice diversity of characters, and they all have big roles to play. It's not like one character gets snubbed for another one. They all have pretty equal roles to play in the plot, and I do want to commend the movie for that.
For sure. Oh, yeah, no, that was really good, especially since before that, Star Wars up to that point had 5 women in the whole galaxy.
5 women and one black man.
Yeah. Oh, well,
the whole cast was
because Finn.
Cast was
well,
good
up until this movie. Oh yeah, I guess Finn. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Force Awakens had come out at that point, so they had 2 black men.
Okay. Are we ready to give our final review and rating?
I think I am.
Yeah.
Especially since the last 20 minutes we haven't been talking about Rogue One.
Well, it's Star Wars related.
At least it's all an interesting conversation, I hope.
Oh yeah, definitely is.
And we did give a warning last episode that we're probably going to go off about New Hope and all that. So
it's true, we did.
All right. Anyways, so Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So the first half, Yemmy nailed it in the coffin. He was a little boring, but once they get to the where they kill the scientist, Jin's dad, I think it starts to pick up there. The ending scene was phenomenal. The whole just battle, the intensity. They all had their own roles. Part of that beach invasion, and they all had their unique. No, they didn't all. Well, they all had their unique deaths, and I just thought that was cool. It was unique. The acting was good. I think they all just blended in together. Not one actress stood out like a sore thumb. The droid was awesome. I think his. I was sad to see him die. Spoiler. So it was good. Now that you guys told me about the AT-ATs, they were testing, and they weren't the actual products of the finished actual project. Though that kind of makes me feel better about the scene. The ending where Darth Vader comes out with his sword, that was awesome. That got me chills. So overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, Nick. I think the expression you're looking for is hit the nail on the head, not the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, coffin, because that would be dead. Right.
Yeah. I agree with Nick on most points. I like the first half of the movie is it's okay. It's not my favorite thing ever. There's some characters who just are underutilized. There's also some weird comedy aspects, like when Darth Vader tells General Craddock not to choke on his whatever. I can't say the word. Yeah, aspirations. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. But other than that, I think this movie really is good. And I liked all the characters. I think that most of their deaths, you actually feel something when they die instead of just being oh, just whatever. I liked all the characters pretty much equally, but of course K2 is probably the best. And I like the overall vibe of it, and minus some things that broke the canon, I think that it's an excellent movie, and it's one of my top 5 Star Wars movies, because I can say that now because there's so many. The ending with Darth Vader is badass. The whole entire fight scene on Scarif and above in space is really, really well done. I liked some of the cameos from characters like Mon Mothma and stuff like that, but there was also some characters that, like R2-D2 and C-3PO and Princess Leia and Grand Moff Tarkin that didn't really work in my opinion. Grand Moff Tarkin works the most out of all of them, but his CG was pretty bad on those. But I liked the diversity, I liked the aliens, and I liked the battles, and I liked getting some more Star Wars story that is actually good. And like I said, besides from some canon-breaking moments, I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. For me, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call the first half boring, but it wasn't as good as the second half. And like I said, I've already said everything pretty much you guys have already said. Canon-breaking stuff, things that just were weird plot-wise, like having Cassian just kill the guy at the beginning and then be a babyface non-killer, whatever. But overall, it was an enjoyable movie. But I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I personally have the same points. Some moments in the action scenes here were really good, but some moments I'm it kind of just seems a lot. Some moments were okay, but action scenes and some moments were really good. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. So I need to make a correction. I originally said that The Good, the Bad, the Weird was in the fan vote. That was my bad. It's actually Megamind, which was recommended by Fellow, is in the fan vote. We actually had The Good, Bad, the Ugly in the last vote, and I forgot to take it off my list for the next one. So the movies that you can vote on are The Irishman, Starship Troopers, Blade Runner, and Megamind. So if you want to do that, you know where to go. But yeah, it seems like we're all kind of on the same page with this one.
I would agree.
Yeah, roughly, yeah. You all gave 4, 3.5 for me, but I expect more of my Star Wars movies.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit more of a blind fan, but I can still see the flaws in the movie. I think the overall enjoyment of it is more than anything that I had from the sequel trilogy, honestly.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. 3.5 means I could watch it again, but I probably wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it 3 times now, so I guess I'm kind of in the same ballpark, but just gotta love that.
Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to recommend it again, because Yemmy and I saw it in theaters in 2016, and we weren't too big of a fan of it. Then Yemmy watched it again. He's like, "Hey, I watched this movie again a couple of years later." And he's like, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And now, here we are.
Here we are.
And here we are.
Yes, here we are with Tay's recommendation. What do you got for us?
All right. So, I don't know about the rest of you. I'm pretty sure Coco's in the same boat I'm in. Been watching WandaVision.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
And it made me want to go back and watch Age of Ultron, because I'd only watched it once in theaters. I didn't care for it. Like, it was okay, but it was kind of meh. But I wanted to go back and watch it again, give it a second chance. So that's my pick, Age of Ultron.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
All right. You know what?
Help us.
I will give it a fair chance because I haven't seen it in a few years. But I have seen the movie twice, and both watches I was relatively disappointed with it. But
yeah. Oh, it's definitely. I remember it being the worst Avenger, like the worst Marvel movie. Probably.
Well, I wouldn't say the worst, but
yeah,
maybe second worst. But yeah, it's in the bottom 3. At the very least.
Like I'll give it a college chance. I'll give it the chance.
Yeah.
It deserves a chance because I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah. So Tay, you need to talk a little bit more about it.
Oh right. Hold on. I forgot to pull all that stuff up.
I have it for you if you need me to.
Okay. Yes, thank you, please.
Okay, so the movie came out in 2015. It was directed by Joss Whedon. The synopsis is, when Tony Stark tries to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program, things go awry, and Earth's mightiest heroes are put to the ultimate test as the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. As the villainous Ultron emerges, it is up to the Avengers to stop him from enacting his terrible plan, and soon, uneasy alliances and unexpected action pave the way for an epic and unique global adventure. This movie stars Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, James Spader, Elizabeth Olsen, Aaron Tyler Johnson, Samuel L. Jackson, Don Cheadle, and Paul Bettany, just to name a few. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
And, of course, another warning that we'll probably go off and talk about other movies.
Yes.
Because it's another series.
And possibly WandaVision, depending on...
Yeah, I'll say, make sure you're caught up on WandaVision.
Yeah, because we might talk about that as well, but maybe not, because I don't think Nick is... Yeah. We don't know if Nick's been watching it.
We'll try to probably avoid that one, just to avoid spoilers for people, because that's a newer one.
I'm on episode 2. There's not many episodes, like 4 or 5, right?
Oh, yeah, it's one of those series that they keep adding, so it's like every week you get a new one.
Yeah, so it's only 4 or 5 episodes out, right?
Yeah. I think it's this week was the 5th that came out.
Yeah, this week was the 5th. So
I'm not
far behind.
So.
Yeah.
I just got to the episode where they turned to color. Like, it was black and white, now it's color. So
yeah, so you're on like the 3rd one now. So
it gets good. So good. I mean, I thought it started out pretty good, but
the second episode is my favorite one so far, honestly, just because that magician, like the magician.
Yeah, that magician scene was.
But it is very interesting, and like Tay said, we'll probably get into this next week. Next episode.
Yeah.
So if you, the listener, does not want to be spoiled for Age of Ultron, make sure you watch that before the next episode comes out in 2 weeks. That's right. All right. Well, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with
Pretty Waffle,
Taymation,
Go Gamer,
and we are Film Freakz with a Z. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
May the Force be with you.